Hope everyone's doing well. It's the Elliot and Jason show, and it's our first recording. Jason, I'm gonna throw it over to you in terms of doing your intro, and then you can throw it back to me.
Thanks, Eliot. I'm Jason, and as Eliot mentioned, this is our first show. We were just chatting the other day, just having a great conversation about life in general, and just we came up with the idea of, it'd be fun to record these conversations because other people might find what we're talking about interesting. Eliot and I met in college at Michigan State University and kept in touch over the years, and really just looking forward to seeing where the show's gonna go.
Sweet. Yeah, so I'm Elliot Lee, and like Jason said, we met in college. I currently live in Montana. I just moved here about a year ago. Jason, you're still in Florida,
I'm
right?
Florida in the Tampa area. That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we have been thinking about just having a chat. I really been interested in kind of what's happening in the economy and the worldwide effects on what's happening to people in the job market. And so these are kind of topics that Jason and I have been bouncing off, but there's so much other stuff that he and I chatted about. So our goal is to just chat it up, talk about certain topics of the day. We do have a few topics that we've come up with for today's discussion. So I think the first one we want to talk about relates to the impacts of the interest rate that just got cut yesterday. It was about a 0.5% cut on the interest rate. It's still unknown the effects it's going to have on other things like with mortgages, car loans. It's still kind of panning out what the effects are going to be with that. Um, but a lot of people are optimistic that it's going to have a positive effect. Um, I'm not totally convinced. I think there's other factors in the economy that need to be stabilized in order for it um, to really make a difference. But I mean, it is the first cut since 2020. But of course, we've had a lot of interest rate increases, over that time period. So it's kind of weird to look and see what the media is talking about in terms of, it's in the right direction, it's going down the right path, it's hitting the mark to increase inflation rates to get it down to 2%. But the reality, the harsh reality is like I just had a conversation just a little bit ago with a group of job seekers that we got on a Zoom call, and the reality is on the ground, it's not really seeing that, it's not feeling that yet. So, Jason, if you had a chance to kind of look into that, and what are your thoughts in terms of where we're at in terms of the interest rate cut and what effects it might have?
Yeah, no, I think it's too little too late. I think as humans, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So if we
Hmm.
were to turn on CNBC in the morning and we listen to everybody say about how great the economy is,
Hmm.
from certain people's perspective, that's true, right? If
Hmm.
economists are going to focus on the data, the average unemployment rate over the last 50 years has been about 5%. We're at like 4.2% now. The
Hmm.
average inflation rate over the last 50 years has been about 4%. We're at, you know, I think roughly around 2.5%, maybe even lower. I'm not exactly sure. But either way, we're still quite a bit lower, right, with regard to the unemployment rate and the inflation rate than we've been over the last average over the last 50 years. But the problem is that doesn't show the whole picture.
Hmm.
That doesn't help make the person feel better who can't afford to pay both the electric bill, rent and buy food. It doesn't help the tech worker who just got laid off with no really optimistic hope for getting a job anytime in the near future where they're going
Hmm.
to be able to utilize their skills over the last 20 years in a way that they're going to continue to feel like they're being productive and that they're able to pay their bills.
Hmm.
So just looking at a number that's, 4.2% on the unemployment rate, it's kind of, I think, arrogant in a way for economists, and let's just be realistic, wealthy people to say the economy is doing well. The immediate effect of the interest rate, as we saw yesterday, was stocks pumped. Every
Hmm.
market pumped.
Hmm.
So, who's doing well from the interest rate cuts? Rich people. The
Hmm.
top 1% of the country owns 50% of the stock. Only
Sure.
62% of Americans own stock. Who theoretically could be helped by the interest rate cut? People who owe money to their credit card companies, but it's not really going to make a difference. If your interest rate is currently 27% and it goes down to 26.5%,
Yeah.
you're still in a whole lot of trouble and the banks are screwing you over.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was listening to CNN this morning, and one of this market economist political writers, came on and was talking about, things that are improving or things that, if we stay in this path, we'll be better and we'll be good. And it was talking about dependencies, like if we don't go into a recession, which to be perfectly honest with you, I think even though the numbers don't really show it, I think we've been in one for a long time. The government and media keep underreporting numbers, and I think it's not showing the whole picture like you're talking about. So yeah, I mean, if the recession doesn't happen, if we get further cuts in the interest rate, these are things dependencies that might start trickling and making improvements. We might see more, consumer confidence, in which we really need that, as in my opinion, to really start moving into a economic recovery. As soon as people are more confident, they're stimulating the economy, they're putting more money out there, it starts getting an effect of, okay, we have a greater demand. We need to increase our supply, like in terms of these companies acknowledging that they need to bring back the workers and that they can't be in a situation of having lesser workers. So, but it's going to take some while. Like most people are saying, we're looking at 6 to 8 quarters. We're looking at anywhere between 18 months to 2 years to see a recovery, especially as it relates to the job market, in terms of having it be more of a employee-based market versus an employer's market. Um, so I don't know what your thought is on, Jason. Like, what other things have you been hearing about or thinking about of like what needs to happen in terms of the economy to recover?
Yeah, I think you and I are probably going to have different shows on different aspects of that. But I think overall, while jobs may come back, it's not necessarily going to be the job for the person that got let go, right? The
Hmm.
people that are dealing with unemployment today, those jobs could be gone forever. And
Hmm.
then what do? They have to possibly retrain. But somebody that's been doing a job for 20 years where they were great at that job and there's no longer a need for that job, they're not really going to be in a position to fill those new jobs that are created. The new jobs that are created could be AI engineers, but they don't know anything about AI. So when are the jobs going to come back? I think from a statistic standpoint, maybe jobs will come back. But from the individual standpoint, a job may never come back for that person.
Hmm.
And they'll have to deal with the harsh reality of going to do something new that's maybe going to pay a lot less money, where maybe it's not in their eyes going to have the same social status, but they're going to have to do it in order to survive.
Yeah, and there's a one job seeker that I see posting on LinkedIn a lot of time, and he's in a very difficult situation. His background in technology as a developer has been FileMaker Pro, and FileMaker Pro is basically dead. If you try to look for a job that uses FileMaker Pro, or even a migration project where you're migrating from FileMaker Pro into a more modern platform, those jobs aren't even there. Like he is struggling to find work. That is his kind of niche, and it's just the jobs aren't there. So it's been difficult, and not he just doesn't want to take the time to fully pivot into something else right now. He feels that there's a lot of risk with that. And I think a lot of job seekers are feeling the same type of thing, is that they understand that it might be over for what they've been doing, but really making that transition or pivot into something that's going to give them a job. It's scary. It's a scary situation to be in. So,
Absolutely. And look at the real estate market, because that I think affects everything for everybody with regard to their finances. Whether you're a homeowner or whether you're a renter, you're affected by the real estate market. And right now, interest rates are still really high for mortgages. And with the price inflation for both owning a home and rent and renters to rent, combined with things like increased taxes for homeowners, increased insurance costs,
Hmm.
it's the double whammy where people are losing their jobs and they're faced with the harsh reality of having to pay bills that they can't pay. At
Hmm.
some point, the foreclosures will start to happen and the evictions will happen,
Hmm.
and there will be an increase in homelessness. And, unfortunately, politicians don't really focus on our homeless population because they don't vote. And
Hmm.
I think this is going to continue to be a problem as we progress in the years because of the advent of AI. AI is slowly taking people's jobs, and it's going to be slow and then all at once. We see it everywhere. We see it in Target. We see it in the toll booths. We
Hmm.
see it when we go buy a plane ticket. I mean, on and on. It's the little things that are being replaced by machines. And our politicians don't have any solutions for it. One, I don't think they understand it, but more importantly, their main goal is always to get reelected. It's not actually to fix the problems. And maybe that's a segue into a topic for another day, Elliot.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think we can probably put that on the back burner. But I did want to mention that there is a Netflix documentary out that's featuring Bill Gates and it's called Next Steps. And the first episode talks about AI. So it's something that you and I could maybe look more into and bring up it in a later show. But yeah, I definitely agree with you that there's so many things that are being impacted in the tech sector in particular that's making it more and more difficult. I myself, I've been working in technology for 26 years. I pivoted over to project management in the tech field for the last 10 years. I spent about 20 years doing development, working on information technology platforms, creating and designing websites for very large corporations and small businesses and startups. So it's near and dear to me, and I've been through the boom and bust of the IT higher tech field for years. I know that it will recover, but like you're saying, the jobs aren't going to be there. So it's like at some point you need to figure out what you're going to do. So the last thing I want to kind of discuss before we end things for today, Jason, is related to it seems kind of bleak, right? In terms of where the economy is at right now, or at least on the ground, what people are experiencing. But there's got to be some glimmer of light out there. And just wanted to find out from your perspective what are things that people can be doing to navigate through this economy, through this job market? What is your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think you're bringing up a great point that even though things are bleak for many people, hopefully we can grow from this if we find ourselves in a difficult situation, and we can turn hope into something that's going to ultimately put us in a better position. And I think that has to do with looking in the mirror and having a very real conversation with ourselves and asking ourselves what's important. Is it important to us that we have a certain job title and our family and friends look up to us because in their definition of success we're successful? Or is
Hmm.
it important for us to really look at something that we would enjoy doing in life, even though it's going to make less money, and make the necessary modifications to our lives that's going to allow us to do things that are going to be more in line with the economy and with what we actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think those are some great thoughts to kind of, set us up for leaving the show today, but, making sure people understand that, there are things that can be done. Um, it takes courage to make those changes in terms of this where we are in the economy and market. But yeah, I totally agree with that, Jason, and I do appreciate the time today. So I'm looking forward to more of our discussions coming up. But to everyone else, thank you for joining in and watching the Elliot and Jason show. There'll be more to come.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.